Rana, we're delighted to have you today at the Singapore Economic Forum. It's a pleasure to have you with us. I know you just flew from the Silicon Valley, so we're grateful for you taking time away from your work to join us for a few hours here in the new financial capital of the Asia-Pacific area in Singapore on the 22nd of March, 2024. You're here for many things, you're a man of many talents and skills, and we just want to pick your brains here. We're out of the main conference room and with our colleagues, Chris and Mark Anthony, bonjour.
Hello.
And we're shooting that mini interview on the sidelines of the Singapore Economic Forum, just to pick your brains for a few more minutes on these key topics which you discussed earlier today. Of course, Rana Saad, your reputation precedes you. You're director of LG Nova, which is a venture capital, private equity subsidiary of LG Group, the famous Korean global electronics group. But before that, you were the lead honcho, as I say, at Accenture for digital innovation North America. So really, the Silicon Valley, US, Canada, you were the lead chief consultant at Accenture for digital innovation before it became, I guess, fashionable. And I think one of your mottos, or one of the practices you put in place back then when you were counseling or advising S&P 100, Fortune 100 CEOs, is you have to think like a startup. You're the CEO of a huge 50, 60, 70 billion dollar market cap blue chip. If you want to survive in this day and age, you have to remain fit and nimble, like a young Berkeley graduate, a startupper. And I think once again, that was very much avant-garde. And now, fast forward today, apart from your role at LG Nova, you're also on the sides, on the weekends, I guess, when you find time, you're the founder of an ESG, a boutique ESG startup, which is called Tuzmo. Tuzmo, sorry for my French accent. And you'll tell us more about it now, because I think it's really fascinating to see how you bring together traditional artisan handcraft and these traditional artisan manual laborers preserving ancestral traditions in their villages in sub-Saharan Africa, India, Pakistan, Malaysia, Latin America, how you help them in the global digital age to sell their wares to modern bourgeois tourists from San Francisco, Singapore, or London. Tell us more about that.
Sure. First of all, thank you for having me here. It's a true honor and pleasure to be talking to you. And congratulations on a great event. Very nicely organized, and heard some very fine points of views on issues that matter to all of us. Coming to your question, thanks for the introduction. I'm honored. Tuzmo, as you described, is solving a very important problem in the world, and specifically in the travel industry, in the tourism industry. We all travel. Actually, we are here on travel, like you described. We arrive from different parts of the world to be in this conference. And when you come to a place as a tourist, as a visitor, as a conference attendee, or for any reason, people always want to do a few things. Obviously they want to try local food. They want to, go to the tourist spots like museums and stuff like that. But one thing we all do is to try to find something authentic and local, connected with local culture, that we can not only experience but also possibly take back with us. All cultures have something to present, something to show or to give to the visitors. But this is a problem that hasn't been solved in travel industry. How do you find those authentic local artisans? You can go to a street shop or a hotel shop or a airport shop, but chances are that you would probably find something that's not made there, or not. It's probably mass produced in a factory, not handmade, and has very little link with the local destination. Maybe it has the name Singapore printed on a ceramic, but it was probably made in China. So unfortunately, that's the common outcome of that search, of trying to find local artisans. So we started looking at that problem to solve, and it turned out it is actually a multidimensional and a very large problem. Worldwide, travel retail, as we call it, is what tourists spend when they go somewhere, is a $150 billion market annually. And out of that, about half of that, about 90 billion, is on artisanal crafts.
Okay,
so it is a pretty sizable problem, but that's just what the tourists spend. But the overall handicraft market, which is the overall size of the economy of hand-produced items by the artisans worldwide, is a mind-boggling $665 billion market.
Wow.
$665 billion. A lot of that gets exported, shows up on shelves of stores in the U.S. and Canada, France, Germany.
Do you have any idea of the number of people employed?
So that's in millions of, and if not in tens of millions.
Okay.
I don't have the exact number for that, but it is a very significant part of tourism economy around the world, right? So we started to look at what's missing in that, and all my digital innovation experience that you mentioned, or startup experience that you mentioned, kind of gave me that sort of insight or that background to really break it down into, okay, what parts of the problem can technology solve, and what is the rest of it that has looking for a different type of disruption, finding the missing components, connecting the right players, the right components, and most of all, like you described, this is one of the neediest parts of the economy. The producers, the artisans are everywhere in every country, all 200 countries of the world, but they are typically at the lowest rung of the economic ladder. And the reason is there's a lot of so-called value addition that's done on top of what they produce, and by the time the item reaches where we purchase them, you and I, maybe in a store here or in our own countries,
Got you.
There are a lot of middle persons that have added their own markups on that. So the ratio that we have discovered, the artisan who makes a craft is making 10% of the final only 10% of the final price that the item is being sold at a store.
Okay.
So obviously this is something that needs to be fixed. So that's what Tuzmo does. It connects tourists and travelers directly with the artisans.
So it connects the end customer with the real producer.
Yeah. So
no intermediation.
No intermediation. The artisans should get majority, if not all of it or most of it.
Okay.
And that's not the only part.
Okay, so
the main part is the discovery, is making them discoverable, because they have no other way of right now being known and visible.
Okay. So you give them access to new customers. That's great. And the idea is eventually, as this develops, the added value of that ceramics pottery won't be just 9-10% for Diego or Abdul, but Diego or Abdul will have 90% of the overall value of that beautiful ceramics.
The fair value of their labor,
necklace, or pearl,
or ceramic, or jewelry.
Understood. That is great. First quick question. I'm aware of time, and Mark Anthony is reminding me here. The fee. Do you do this service for a small fee? How do you basically keep the company alive, and how do you raise money?
Sure. So we have two business models. One is the B2C, which is our app. So the platform takes care of many things for the artisans, including obviously their listing, their profiles, curation, and marketing.
Is it by country and by object, by category?
By country and category, yes.
So can you say, for example, I want a jewel from Peru or a rug from Turkey?
Absolutely.
That's great.
Yep, those are the categories, and there are many other categories. And so the model is very simple, that that we list the artisans, and we provide a lot of services, and including marketing, including customer service, including credit card processing, including after sales service and stuff like that.
Okay.
So for all of that, we charge a small commission, but the majority, like you said, 80 and in some cases up to 90% of the value, the purchase value, goes to the artisan.
And the payment mechanism, is it PayPal, Visa, MasterCard?
All of the above, yeah.
All of
So
them.
all the major, transaction methods are available. And that's the B2C. On the B2B side, which we just launched, is very simple. We are partnering with top hotels and even cruise company brands in the world, so that through they can offer basically ability for their guests to be able to find and interact with and experience authentic local artisans and their and other cultural experiences.
So cruise ship from Sicily, let's say, to Tunisia or Libya, on the boat with Wi-Fi. They could go to the website. And they could almost pre-select
or book an experience. So right now, so we started with the products, but we realized the experience itself has value.
Meeting the artisan.
So meeting the artisan in their workshop, in their home or wherever they want to.
That's great.
And make the connection. That way, the tourists are not only exposed to the artisan, but their communities as well. They're able to experience the environment and the surroundings, and that actually spreads out tourism beyond the tourist hotspots. Takes tourists to the community. Exactly.
Inland.
And they spend money maybe eating food there, interacting and buying other stuff. So we are hoping that will have a very positive impact overall.
Marketing aura effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Great idea, great idea.
Thank you.
And that idea in itself, I think, needs another interview. So I'm looking now to Mark Anthony and Chris will do another one later. But I'm aware of time. So here, I don't take many holidays these days, but I'm a speaker. I'm a speaker at many financial and pension conferences. Usually I co-chair or speak at 40 or 50 events every year. So I can get a sense indirectly when traveling the world over. There are some nations, like Morocco, for example, Morocco or Mexico, there is a ministry of artisan and crafts. And the government takes it very seriously.
Absolutely.
And the government spends a lot of time and resources helping, empowering their traditional craftsmen and craftswomen.
Absolutely.
And that is fabulous. And other jurisdictions where it's neglected. So these countries, which are maybe more cognizant of the untapped value, the brand equity value for the nation as a whole, of preserving the craft. Like Morocco, for example, let's say, or Peru or Mexico. When you go there, does the existence of the government infrastructure, a minister, does it help you source the artisans faster, more efficiently?
Absolutely. I think that's one of our main channels into. There are 200 countries in the world, and for us sitting in the U.S. or Europe, it's very hard to know the deepest parts of the countries where some of these most authentic artisans exist. So our partnerships with tourism ministries and tourism boards is very, very important. And like you're right, some countries are very open and receptive and cooperative. Others, they are a little sort of protective of of their data and profiles, and that's perfectly fine. I think our best way to demonstrate our value is through success. So we have partnered with some key countries, like you described. Morocco is one of them. Tunisia, on the other side of Africa, we have Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania. We have good relationships with. In Caribbean, we are very close with Jamaica, with Bahamas, and even there's a regional organization called the Caribbean Tourism Organization. So we are very close with the head, and also with Cayman Islands. So worldwide, we have partners, and our message is received very well, and we hope to continue to partner with additional countries and take our message global.
That's great. And also, the brand equity side at national level is essential.
Absolutely.
Because there's maybe X billion per continent or per country. But if you look at the
just very
brand
quickly,
value for the nation as a whole, across sectors, having these strong, skilled artisans, even for big industrial companies, they can tap part of the brand aura.
Yeah, so just one quick thing to add. I know we're running out of time, but one thing that we are doing in partnership with the countries, and we are offering free initially to the countries, is something we developed, which is called Artisanal Craft Maturity Index. So basically, we're helping countries evaluate where they stand in terms of the maturity of this very important sector of tourism. It's a 50-point index that we, through deep research and partnership with the countries, we give them a score. We tell them where they stand.
That's great.
And it also leads them to ideas and how to improve that, how to climb it up. And we are happy to repeat it with them every year. So that's something we are bringing to the market.
Yeah, that's amazing.
As well.
And,
Yeah,
you know, sitting here in Singapore, I just want to say, you know, in the past 2 days, that conference has been exhausting and fascinating at the same time. And we had a great feedback for our inaugural Singapore Economic Forum. And you can feel, you know, the vibrancy of the economy. You know, you go to Little India, Arabian Street, Little China. The fact that they still preserved, you know, even though it's a very advanced, rich financial hub and industrial center, the government here has been adamant at preserving these traditional Malaysian, Arabian, Chinese, Indian crafts, and that adds value to the economy of Singapore. It's not, you know, an old-fashioned, you know, because people may have had in the past, the world over, in Europe, in the US, the idea that, oh, it's the past. But sometimes, you know, the future is stronger when it has roots in the past.
Absolutely.
And even if you're a high-tech startup nation with investment bankers and whatever, physicians and researchers, having next door to you a craftsman who can, you know, make a handmade pair of glasses or use traditional leather and make a very nice bag, that is also something which adds value beyond the product itself, adds symbolic value, brand equity value to the economy as a whole. And things change, and I want to conclude. I don't know that you travel the world over, you're a globetrotter, and you're Pakistani-American or American-Pakistani, and you speak many languages, and things can change very rapidly. And I think a fascinating example we discussed earlier today at the Singapore Economic Forum, you know, Saudi Arabia, amazing country, amazing how the speed at which the economy opened up. And for example, you know, Saudi Arabia, 4 or 5 years ago, the artisan crafts sector was barely 0.1% of the economy, nothing. And now all of a sudden, if you talk to policymakers in Riyadh, they understand it's a strategic part of the national economy. And in the next 5 years plan of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, artisans promotion features centrally. So things change rapidly, right?
Absolutely. And just overall comment on what you just said. Singapore, first of all, is very significant for us. We will not forget one of our first backers, believers in our idea, was the Singapore ambassador in Washington, D.C. To the U.S., Ashok Mirpuri. He's still a friend and one of the first people who said, this is a great idea. And he connected us with the Ministry of Tourism here.
That's great.
So we'll never forget that. And coming to Saudi Arabia, for example, more and more countries are realizing what you just mentioned. Saudi Arabia overall is spending a lot on tourism, but every promotion of theirs that you see, arts, crafts, and culture is at the center of that.
Of course,
I was in ITB Berlin very recently, which is the tourism's biggest conference, and Saudi Arabia had a huge pavilion there.
Amazing.
And they had brought 5 or 6 wonderful artisans, from calligraphists to basket weavers and stuff like that. And they were doing it right there. And people were there. They were some of the most popular parts of the pavilion.
It is amazing,
So everybody is realizing that, and we are happy to partner with more and more countries and destinations in helping them discover this very important part of the tourism sector and help them develop it, co-develop it. It's a gold mine that a lot of these countries are sitting on, and I think it's in everybody's benefit to develop the sector.
It was a pleasure to host you today. Food for thought, lots of things to discuss. So I know we have to jump in now into the conference hall, but save the date because we have our next Singapore Economic Forum in 2025, more precisely 26, 27, 28 of February of 2025. And last but not least, I want to thank the guys filming here, Mark Anthony Abel and the great Chris Smith, who is amongst other qualities and roles. Chris Smith is the chairman of the Westminster Pension Fund, part of LGPS, one of the largest public pension schemes in Europe, but he's also a trade union leader for Unison, Britain's leading public service labor organization, and he's also very active in promoting economic and financial cooperation between the developing world, the global south, and rich industrialized nations in Europe and North America. And so it was a pleasure to have him with us today, helping us produce that interview. Thank you once again, Chris, Mark Anthony. Rana, it was a pleasure to have you with us.
It was a pleasure meeting you.
À très bientôt.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Until we meet again.
Cheers.
Thank you.